If you followed the Sonam Raghuvanshi case, you would remember how disturbing it was. A newly married couple on their honeymoon. The husband, Raja Raghuvanshi, is found dead in a gorge. Investigators allege it wasn't an accident, but a planned killing. A conspiracy, reportedly involving Sonam and her partner. And then, something unexpected happens. She gets bail. Not because the court said she is innocent, not because the evidence disappeared, but because of a procedural lapse, a clerical failure in how the arrest was carried out and communicated. In simple terms, the process failed. And when process fails, even in serious cases, the law has to step in. But this raises a larger, uncomfortable question. Is this just a one-off failure, or part of a pattern we are not fully acknowledging? Because this isn't the first case of its kind. Across India in the past year, multiple incidents have surfaced where husbands have been killed in highly planned circumstances. In Meerut, a woman allegedly had her husband shot with the help of her partner. In Bihar's Vaishali, a man was reportedly killed and mutilated after a domestic dispute linked to an affair. In Chhattisgarh alone, reports suggested dozens of cases within a few months where wives were accused of killing their husbands. And when you look at the patterns, a few things stand out. Many of these are not impulsive crimes. They are premeditated. They involve coordination, often with a partner or accomplice. And in several instances, there are attempts to stage the crime as an accident. These are cold, calculated acts. But here's the critical point. These cases rarely become part of a larger national conversation. They remain isolated headlines, here today, gone tomorrow. Now, it is important to pause here and add perspective, because crimes against women in India remain far more widespread, more brutal, and often underreported. From domestic violence to dowry deaths to sexual assault, these are systemic issues that affect millions of women. Data and ground realities consistently show that women continue to face disproportionate levels of violence and vulnerability. So this is not a comparison. This is not about who suffers more. The question is different. When men become victims of serious crimes, do they receive the same level of attention, urgency, and recognition? Or are these cases treated as exceptions rather than part of a pattern worth examining? India's legal framework has historically evolved to protect women, and for good reason. There was, and still is, a need to correct deep-rooted inequalities and systemic abuse. Laws around domestic violence, dowry, and protection were designed to address that imbalance. But as society changes, another question emerges. Should the system also evolve to recognize new forms of vulnerability? Because when it comes to male victims, there are noticeable gaps. There is limited legal recognition in certain categories of abuse. There is social stigma, where men reporting harm are often not taken seriously. And there is a lack of structured discourse around male victimhood. In many cases, men are not seen as a group that can be victims of systemic harm. They are seen as exceptions. And when something is treated as an exception, it rarely leads to policy attention, legal reform, or even sustained public conversation. Which brings us back to cases like this. When due process fails, when narratives are incomplete, when conversations don't continue, do we miss something bigger? The Sonam Raghuvanshi case is not just about one crime. It is about what we notice and what we overlook. India's legal and social systems were built to address historical injustices. But no system can remain static. As society evolves, so do its challenges. And the real question is not whether one group suffers more than another. The real question is whether the system is capable of recognizing all forms of harm, even the ones that don't fit into established narratives. Because justice is not just about protection, it is also about recognition. And sometimes what goes unseen is just as important as what is visible.